Hello and welcome to the West Point Army two-gun match set up by their weapons combat team. If you are fans of my channel, you've watched me do this match about 6 or 7 months ago. Even though this is an annual event, they decided to hold it in the fall this year as opposed to the spring next year because they're going to have a scheduling conflict with the range next year. So don't expect to see this match come up again until about 2025, I think. Or at least that's what the match director said during the match. So hopefully there will be a streak of sunshine, a little bit of good luck, and we'll be able to run this match again in 2024 because it is a phenomenal two-gun match. It's fairly inexpensive, about $150, and it's 8 stages all day of shooting. Because of the hour lost during daylight savings, they actually cut down the total amount of participants this time from 100 to only 80 shooters across 8 stages, so you could figure out there's 8 squads of about 10 people, and I felt it was really well set up. Everything really gelled properly. There was no lost time. There was no waiting around. Everyone was just boom, 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 one after the other. And it was a very fun and exciting day. I would say I prefer the previous match a little bit more. They were running a lot more different stage weapons. I liked the layout last year a little bit more. Not last year, but a couple months ago. It just felt a little bit more challenging, I'll say. This time we probably went out to about 150 yards. Last time was about 300 yards, and we were all hoping ecstatically to run out that far, but it just didn't happen. As for my kit this year, you could tell from the picture that we've been looking at for the last 2 minutes that I am running an AR. That is right. I have realized that I needed a battle rifle. I needed something that I could really just actually use in a shit hits the fan scenario, and thus I finished building my AR, which has just been sitting collecting dust for the last couple of years because New York is New York and New York sucks. So I decided to finish up the AR by putting it back together, basically putting an EXPS 3-0 and my Holosun HM3X magnifier on top because I do plan on running this with night vision. That's why I have the bump. Why I have a bump helmet if you're not going to run nods. And I decided to run it in as full a kit as possible because if shit really does hit the fan, I need to protect myself and my family first and foremost. In this last picture, before we start getting into the match, that is my friend's rifle on top with the GLX 2X Prism on top, which again is probably one of my favorite all-around prisms. If I didn't want to run night vision and I didn't mind having a little magnification, I'd be running that on my rifle without a shadow or question of doubt. But with that, let's start the match, shall we? We start on a saw at about 100 yards on a target, 10 rounds in the mag, on go, dump the full mag, and then move on. I was actually the first person to shoot this stage, and as a result, I didn't really have the full concept down of like what they wanted to run and how they wanted to like time it. So this is technically my second time running this stage, and as a result, this is my best stage. Top 3 out of 80 shooters is I'd consider pretty damn good performance. As for my system, I'm running a P10C CZ with TLR1 and a Steiner MPS, which has now basically been completely tested to where I'm confident with giving an honest review about it. I have to do a little bit more night vision work under it, but so far it has been nothing short of spectacular. As for the EXPS 3 and the HM3X combination, even here on this very mucky, drizzly day, it was a perfect combination. I ended up running the magnifier for most of this because most of the steel targets for rifle are at least at 100 yards. So for me, it wasn't really that big of an issue running it like that and still having all of my targets in view. Stage 2, you start out with an AT-4 with a 9mm tracer round. No one from my squad hit because that thing was shooting every which way for everyone. It was just all over the place. Switching back over to the rifle, we had these 5 targets that obviously have the light on the bottom right. Very nice little setup. And then the other larger targets were multiple shots on each. I think it was 2 shots on each. Here, I'm running 10-round Lancer mags. That was probably the Achilles heel for me and myself here today. I'm running M855, or at least Australian M855, and the stuff is phenomenal. It shoots about 1.25, 1.5 MOA if I do my part. Runs pretty hot, very consistent, and no problems ejecting, but every once in a while I just get this Well, first off, I don't know how to throw grenades, but I get this like weird like chug with the bolt. Like it just doesn't catch the top round just right. On to pistol here to finish off the stage in 3 rounds each. The P10C and I have really been melding well. I decided to go away from my MMP competitor 5-inch and focus my attention on the P10C because it just fits me better. This stage is a blind stage, pistol only. So you have 3 different bays and you have multiple targets that are going to come up at random. And your goal is to hit each target as many times as possible, usually 3 rounds maximum, to engage as many targets as you can before they go down. This was a bit harder stage for me because I'm running 10-round mags, and the goal for this is to hit 100 as like a goal, and every target that you miss adds up to the time. So technically, you want the lowest number possible, which the lowest number being 100. You're going to see me engage that guy and quickly transition left. I couldn't shoot that any faster than that. The guy just dipped down, and that cost me a little bit of time here. My ultimate score was 125, I believe, and I thought that wasn't going to be really good until I found out I was 7th out of 80 shooters here. So despite the fact I'm running 10-round magazines, and yeah, I'm still pretty damn happy with that. I love shooting blind stages. It's something that I try to do when we do our little rimfire and pistol matches at our local range, and it's just really hard to do because, number one, it's a very small bay, and there's no way of really blocking everyone's view of the bay, and besides, someone has to set it up and then reset it after every single stage. Or yeah, so kind of challenging. So this was a lot more fun for me than I think it was for most other people because I get to shoot the stage that I want to shoot, which is a blind stage. And as a result, I feel I did pretty good. And overall, I'm very pleased with myself. Last year, we had a lot more full automatic rifles to shoot. This MP5, they forced us to shoot semi-auto because at this particular range they don't want us to shoot full auto, even though last year we did, and I think someone might have gotten in trouble for like not setting that up properly. I can't really say for sure, but they did not want us shooting full auto anywhere but the longer range section. If you couldn't tell from the OSB structure to the right, this is a simulated shoot house. Steel targets downrange. We got white and we got black. Very simple. Neutralize the targets as fast as you can. That's basically it. Little hidden cardboard over there to the left, which if you're not really paying attention you might miss, and that was it. You'll note that I'm, for whatever reason, one of my mags is just getting a little bit stuck in the mag well, so I have to shake it out like water out of your boot. A little weird, but I haven't really cleaned this gun in like the last 600 rounds or so shame on me for neglecting my pistol. Despite that, the pistol runs absolutely fantastic. I'm running 124 grain ball out of this thing, and it just chugs along as long as I do my part, which you're going to notice that I do not do here. The rucksack is not heavy, but the way the straps were, and I didn't adjust it because I'm an idiot, they were pulling my shoulders far back. So trying to get the proper hand position on the pistol was really challenging, and I struggle with this small popper on the left. I wasted an entire magazine on 2 small poppers. Because of that, I lost a little bit of my concentration, and the 3 steel silhouettes required 3 shots each. I start rushing them in the beginning. I slow down. I make my hits, and I move on. But I was a little more disappointed in myself, but got to shake that off because you got a stage to complete. Drop off the ammo can at the designated area, run back and finish the poppers. These require 2 shots each as opposed to 3. Be careful with your muzzle. Do not break the 180. We had, unfortunately, a couple people break the 180 today, and it was very unfortunate to see. You never want to see someone do that. I was on my last mag for this, and I decided to slow myself down even further and make sure I make all of my hits, and as a result, I didn't end up all that bad. I was expecting myself to do a lot worse on the pistol. This stage, I was determined to do better, so I throw that kettlebell. I clear this plate rack 1 for 1. I was very pumped. I was hyped. After this, you got to pick up the kettlebell, keep it in your non-shooting hand, and engage these last 4 plates. And if you do it right, you don't have to worry about a mag change when you're running 10-round mags. That cost me like a 2nd or 3rd place run at this stage. I hate 10-round magazines, but if I was a better shooter, I wouldn't have to worry about that. Second to last stage of the day, you start inside of a Humvee, which is not very big inside. I'm not a big guy. I'm only 5'8", about 185, but it's freaking tight inside. Engage all plates, 2 shots each from 2 different windows, so 2 and 2. I went a little bit too fast there, but whatever. I cleared it without having to change magazines, which is always a plus. Grab the 2 water cans, simulating fuel. Do not knock those over or it's a big time penalty. Get close to the tank trap and take your rifle, which had a magazine seated, and if you actually seated the magazine, you wouldn't have to worry about not having a round in the chamber when you go to rack it. So word from the wise, download your magazines by at least 1. But when you're running 10-round magazines, you don't want to be stuck with only 9 or 8 rounds in it, especially when you have to make 5 hits at about 150 yards with high winds. You can see my splash just getting picked up and blown to the left by like a 15 or 20 mile an hour wind. So it sucks, but whatever. To make up for that, they let us fire 10 rounds out of a fully automatic AK. It might have only been 5.56, but with a short barrel like that, that thing recoiled like a mule. Our final stage of the day. I'm so disheveled at this point, I keep forgetting to keep my strap on my helmet. It's just dangling there. But with the Ear Pro attached, it works really well. I start this stage a lot smarter. I pull out the rifle from the drum, I pull back on the charging handle, I insert the full magazine, and I let it slam forward. Guess what? I didn't have to worry about not having a round in the chamber. I clear these plates quite quickly for myself. I'm very happy, especially being in that low of a download position. But the rifle performed extremely well. EOTechs are freaking awesome. I didn't even run my magnifier for that. It was the last stage of the day. I was like, let me try this without it. And you know what? It works perfectly fine. I make amends for myself by actually making the grenade throw. It's a minus 10-second, and as a result of that, mixed in with my fairly good shooting on this stage, I cleared this thing with time to spare. Let me wrap up this match and my overall performances while you watch my friend fire a full automatic M4. Because at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, just dump your ammunition if you want. A lot of people took advantage of that. As for me, I was done. I was beat. I was ready to get off my feet and go eat pizza, which is exactly what we did. Match was great, worked out well. I ran into limitations of myself. I was the only one there running a bump helmet, and one of like a handful of people maybe wearing armor. AR, perfectly fine. It's just limitations of me and not having the full experience that I need with it. Running with a bump helmet, I had no issues whatsoever, no clearances, even getting in off positions, perfectly fine. It was better than I expected. Only needed 1 set of hearing protection while I was out there, so the Peltors were phenomenal. What would I change about my setup? It's a good question, actually. I think as far as the rifle goes, I wouldn't change anything. It was honestly about as good as I could hope for or expect out of something like that. For the pistol, I would just clean it a little bit better. I'd actually probably oil the crap out of both of them. But everything else seemed really, really great. It was also my first time fielding the Safariland 6360. Yes, for my my P10. It's actually set up for a SIG P320, but it works perfectly fine. I actually made a short on that, and it's actually doing quite well. Same thing for my M&P Safariland 6360 that also fits the P10 without a flashlight. So, good information to know if you own a P10 and you're trying to find a really high quality retention holster. As far as the match goes, I still really enjoyed it. It was very well set up. There was no issues to speak of, and I can't wait to shoot it again, hopefully in the next 6 to 10 months. So, with that, thank you all very much for watching. And as always, see you again next time. And a huge thank you to my Patreon providers and my Subscribestar subscribers. Without you, this truly wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to support my channel but don't want to join either of those, I completely understand. But you can still help by using my affiliate links in the description below and or like, share, and subscribe as always. Again, thank you very much.